this is the first week of the Ask Me Anything from the Learn Workplace Climate Action community. I'm very excited that this week we're going to be focusing on kind of the bread and butter of this channel, which is the role of employees in climate. And there's no one better than Eugene to talk about this, who is the co-founder and executive director of Work on Climate. So Eugene, please give a quick introduction of who you are and kind of what your expertise is.
Thanks for having me. Well, indeed, I am the founder of Work on Climate, and you probably know that we are home to the world's largest community of 35,000 plus professionals in climate, and we helped over 6,000 people find jobs or grow their startups. So basically, we are a community that helps you take climate action through your work and helps you meet the people to do it together with. And it's not an easy time to be doing climate work. And so building relationships with other people is the most important part for you to stay in the fight. That's why we're a community and not an online course or a job board. Connection is the point. And I'll say a little bit more about our goals going forward. So going forward, our job is to help people like you not just find jobs, but guide your own companies and your industries and your communities through the regenerative transition together. And I think the difference will become clear in the rest of our recording today.
So thank you. So yeah, let's dive right in. And you started to touch on this first question, but I'm excited to hear you go a little bit deeper. But yeah, how do you see the role of professionals in climate action and the role of employees of non-climate companies in particular?
Yeah, so when most people think about this question, they think, I need to find a climate job at a climate company working with climate people all the time. And if you've gotten this far, you're actually already ahead of the game because we did research that shows that 88% of even climate concerned Americans don't realize that you can even do this. But really, the role of professionals and especially employees of non-climate companies is so much deeper. So let me illustrate with a couple of stories. One story is our friend Kyler. He's a finance professional. He's an accountant, and maybe he could start looking for an accountant job at a climate startup. Like maybe he would have found one. Most likely, no. They probably already have all the accountants they need. But what he did instead is he joined a building inspection company that wasn't doing anything about climate, and he got them to start a line of business focused on inspecting buildings for retrofitting with energy efficiency. So he did something that would not have happened if they hired somebody else. Another example, and now that company is in many respects a climate company. Another example, our vice chair of the board, Zoe Samuel, she was a UX content strategist at Google, and she is passionate about climate. So yeah, she could have started looking for a UX content strategist job at a climate startup. Good luck with that. And what she did instead is inside Google, she started Google's community of employees who are passionate about climate and called it Anthropocene. And this community grew to be thousands of people. And what this community does, they are not simply hanging out. They are not making strongly worded statements to their executives demanding that they do more or this or that. Instead, they work with Google's business executives to incubate climate focused lines of business. And now Google X, over half of all companies inside Google X, of all projects at Google X, are actually climate focused. And many of them were incubated with the help of Anthropocene that Zoe started. So another example, nobody asked her to do it. She convinced her leadership that they should allow her to do it. And now it is thriving. So these are a few examples of the role that I think professionals really have in the climate movement. It's not so much just coming to a place where somebody has scoped it all out for you and just needs it to come and do the work, but it's really about doing something that wouldn't have happened if not for you.
I love that so much. And I am in love with those examples because I think they're really good at showing that often it's just like about expressing your passion for climate and sustainability and just like asking if you can work on it. And a lot of the time people will be like, yeah, that's a good idea, go for it. So I think those are such good examples. And you kind of touched on this a little bit with your first example. But how do you know if someone should get like a pure climate job or if someone should kind of spend the time instead to work from within their own current role?
Yeah, there's actually more than these two options, so I'll get to that in a moment. The key question is where will you make more of a difference compared to someone else in this role? What happens if they don't hire you but hire someone else? Will that person do it differently? So let's say that the company makes, say, low carbon concrete, and they're looking for a sales lead. And let's say that you are a seasoned sales lead in the construction industry with tremendous connections. So if you join this company, it will be a game changer for them because they've been looking for somebody with this kind of connections for a long time. And either they couldn't find anybody or they were about to find somebody whose connections are not as strong. So this is an example where, yes, like you should go and work in that job because if not for you, they're just not going to be as effective. Now, when should you work from within your current job? I suggest to ask yourself two questions. One is there something that your company really could be doing for climate? Like take a candid assessment. Does your company wield the kind of power out in the world where there is a world where the company could be using that power for climate? Or does it really not make business sense for your company to do anything climate related? I'm not talking not just about your own operations, but like, does your company work with others it can and wants to influence? Could your company start a related line of business, like in Kyler's example, and so on? Sometimes there is an option that makes sense, sometimes there isn't. If there is an option, then is your management open to new ideas from employees? So if you do propose something that is climate friendly and truly makes business sense, improves the bottom line, will they listen? Or will they be territorial and be like, we don't do anything that we didn't invent? In that case, you're not in the right environment, and if you don't have the power to change it, it's not an option for you. So what if neither of these options are available to you? You can't find a climate job, you can't make a difference in your current job. You have a third option, look for a non-climate job where you can make a difference. So let's say, for example, you work in finance, and then maybe you can find a non-climate company where climate action would actually make financial sense, but like in a complicated way, and they don't seem to realize it. So come and help them make it make sense. Or let's say that you're a data engineer. Maybe you can find a company in the food space or a company that works with many clients in that space, and you can help them build the data infrastructure to reduce food waste. So it's not necessarily what they're inviting you to do, but once you're in there, if the conditions are right, you can work your way to make this happen. So I like to summarize this by saying don't look for purity, look for power. And power in the broad sense, not like the power of an executive, not the power of a politician, but the power of somebody who is influencing those that you work with.
Yeah, I love this like slightly more strategic thinking behind like where I actually make impact. I think often people will just be like, I want the word climate or sustainability in my organization or in my job title. And I love that third option you posed where actually you could actually just switch jobs to another non-climate company, but maybe there you have a little bit more influence and maybe there they're more open to you bringing like your climate expertise and passion into the work that you're already doing. So moving on to the last question now, getting a little bit more tactical and specific around the Learn Workplace Climate Action channel. What is
Mhm.
the relevance of this channel for employees looking to drive action in their companies? How might people use it to the best of their ability?
Mhm. Yeah, this is really a place for you to grow into leaders of climate action at your work. So this is a place where you learn how to do what we just discussed, and a place where you connect with other people who are doing it. So to be effective, you need a few things. You need inspiration. You need to see stories of people like you exercising workplace climate leadership. To see, like in flesh and blood, so to speak, that it's not just executives or sustainability teams doing it. In fact, they are maintaining the status quo. It's people like you really changing the status quo. And there are people in the channel who have done it. So you get to see their stories, you get to meet them. And to meet them, you need to want to meet them. Second, tying on that, you need connection and belonging. Like I mentioned, leadership is always lonely. If you try to do it alone, unless you're superhuman, you will give up sooner or later. And you need to connect with other people, and the channel gives you an opportunity to do that. So please speak up and connect with people, especially if you're somebody who normally prefers to just sit it out and read what others are saying. You're all amazing people who have, so much to offer to each other. But if everyone just sits and waits for each other, then nobody gets any benefit, right? So introduce yourself, ask questions, answer other people's questions. I have never seen anybody in work on climate in our entire history call somebody else dumb. So put yourself out there. So workplace climate leadership skills, they are different from your normal job skills. It's not rocket science, but it's a different skill set and you need to build it. So Ayana, as well as our other expert, Drew Wilkinson, have great experience in this space and they're here to help you. So you can hop into the drop-in sessions with them and ask them for guidance about, here's the situation at my company in my role, like what could I do and how do I do it?
Yeah, I love it. And one thing I'll add to that too is I've often heard people kind of say, "Oh, well, I don't think I have anything to contribute because I haven't really done anything yet." And I would say you still have something to contribute, even if you are just thinking about doing something or you tried something and failed. Like all of that is worthy of sharing because someone might have
Mhm.
advice for you, or someone might say, "Oh, I tried to do that too, and it didn't work at my company," or "I tried that and it did work at my company. Here's how I went about it." And Eugene will be available all this week, kind of asynchronously, to answer any questions you have about taking climate action at work, the role of employees in climate, questions about climate jobs, anything related to that. Eugene is more than happy to answer this week. So we hope to see your questions in the Learn Workplace Climate Action Slack channel. And
Indeed, looking forward to it.